I love this iPad pouch. It's a fun way to carry your iPad and have a few extra pockets for pens and notebooks to carry everything all together. I'm going to show you how to make a simple sewing project. This is a great project for beginning sewers and accomplished sewers alike. It's also a great way to showcase really fun fabric. Let's go ahead and get started. I wanted my iPad to be able to fit inside of my pouch with its case on. Different cases are different sizes, so I want you to measure yours. What you do is just set your iPad on a piece of fabric and give yourself about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch leeway all the way around. For the size of mine, it is 9 inches across by 11.5 inches tall. In that size, you will need 2 pieces of outer fabric, 2 pieces of lining fabric, and 2 pieces of fusible fleece. In our original pouch, the main fabric was the Meow, and you can see that on the back and all the way down in the front. Then the liner fabric was the Floral, so here that's going to be the green. And then the fusible fleece has a fusing side. You can feel the bumps on one side, and that is going to give a little extra padding to our pouch. The original pouch, I have 2 pockets on. This one here and this one here. It's up to you how many pockets that you would like to do. In our example today, I'm just going to show you 1 pocket. For the pocket, you will need your main fabric. On here it's the cats, here it's the sunglasses. A liner fabric, here it's green. And in here, it's Floral. You can see it in there. And a piece of fusible fleece as well. For mine, this pocket is going to be 9 inches by 9 inches. On all of your main outer fabrics, you're going to need to attach your fusible fleece. Put the main fabric face down. Take the fusible fleece with the bumpy side and touch your bumpy side to the back of your main fabric. Make sure it fits and it's all in the right spot. Then go ahead and flip your fabric over and iron it down. As you iron it down, you will heat up those glue dots on your fusible fleece and it will adhere itself to your fabric. It will begin to fuse to your fabric. As you can see, now the fleece is fused to your fabric. It gives it a little extra poof to your pouch. You want to repeat this for all of your exterior pieces, including your exterior pocket piece. Now your outer pieces all have their fleece added. We're going to set aside the main pouch pieces and work on the pocket. For the front of the pocket, if you would like, this is totally optional, you can add some quilting lines. On the original example, you can see that I have sewn diagonals to showcase the cat heads. For the sunglasses, I would like to add a little extra detail, and so I am going to add stitch lines up and down across the front. You'll simply run this through the sewing machine and sew on top whatever design you would like. Here you can see that I have sewn evenly spaced lines to give a little extra detail and dimension to the project. Sewing on top of your pocket is totally optional, something that you can do if you like to do extra things. If you're going to be sewing on top of the pocket, you'll want to do that before you assemble the pieces, as I have done here. Next up, let's talk assembly. Again, referring to the original, I had added some pom-pom trim to the top of each pocket. This again is optional. You could also add piping. If you're going to add this, it's the step that comes next. Again, you can skip this step if you'd like. I'm just using some pom-pom trim that I had found in my sewing stash. I cut a piece of trim the same width as the pocket that I am sewing. I like to attach the trim before I add the liner to make sure it's secure. Look at your trim piece. If there is a top and a bottom or a front and a back, it will matter how you attach it. You are going to want to put it on upside down and backwards. Okay, so this is the front and this is the bottom. I'm going to flip it completely over, and that is where I'm going to put it on my project. Then I'm going to sew as close as I can to the pom-poms all the way across the top of this pocket piece. I have a smaller foot on so I can get right up next to my pom-poms. I'm going to sew as close as I can to them, keeping the trim on the top edge. and attaching it all the way down on the top of the pocket piece. Now that the trim is attached, you are going to take your liner piece and lay it directly on top so that you have right sides together, and then go ahead and attach it by sewing along the top. If you felt confident, you could have skipped attaching the pom-pom and done both of those in a single seam, but I like to have my pom-poms already attached just so I know that they're not going to wiggle out of place. You just want to make sure that your top edge here is all lined up as you sew. After you've sewn your liner piece on and attached the top, you will flip the liner to the back to reveal your pom-pom trim. Then you're going to want to iron this down to give it a nice crisp edge. When you're ironing, be sure not to touch the pom-poms because they will melt against your iron. You can go ahead and iron the front if you would like to make that edge crisp as well. Next up, we are going to just add a little line of top stitching to really help that piece stay nice and crisp and tack down. Top stitching is simply sewing on top, and it gives your project a nice finished look. Now once you have your pocket prepped, we can go ahead and attach it to the main pouch. You'll take your front piece and layer over your pocket, being sure to match the sides and the bottom. In the original pouch, there are 2 pockets, and so I layered one and then put another one on top of it. So for example, if we had this as a pocket and then another polka dot pocket, it would go down below and they would all match up on the bottom. For this pouch, we're just adding 1 pocket. Once you have all your pockets layered together, an optional is that you could baste or stitch along the sides and the bottom just to attach the pocket. I'm feeling confident in my sewing, so I'm just going to lay it in here and add the next side on. So here's the other side to our pouch. You can see the polka dots. So this is our front, this is our back. Right sides together, so that's facing fabrics together, and then you will sew along the side, the bottom, and the other side. So sew that U seam. At this point, clip those corners and turn it right side out. Okay, now you can start to tell that that pocket we made actually forms its pocket when it's laid against that backer piece. So here's your liner, and the pocket is because the piece is placed between the pouch and the pocket. So that's where it makes a pocket. Looking good. So next up, we are going to add the pom-pom trim around the top. Just as we did with the pocket, we are going to add that trim on and attach it before we add the liner. So we are going to want to put it on upside down, and then we will sew this all the way around. So front and back, just one continuous piece around that top. So when you're starting this pom-pom trim that goes all the way around the top, I like to start near the side seam with a little extra tail. Then when you work your way around, as you get to where the seam meets, you just want to make sure that both pieces cross like this and come off the unfinished edge. That way, when you turn it, you won't see where they met up. Another optional part of your pouch is the button. If you want to have a closure, you'll just need a button in the front and then a stretchy cord built into that top seam. So we're at the point where if this is something you want to do, you need to add your stretchy cord. So I went ahead and attached the trim all the way around, and then here on the back side I have measured out a stretchy cord to where I think the loop will go around the front, and I just kind of eyeballed that. Then I tied a knot in the bottom of each side, and I laid it on top of the pom-pom trim, and I sewed over it right here to secure it. That way it's ready to roll when we put the liner on. Also at this point, attach your button by hand stitching it on. Okay, set your main pouch fabric aside. We're going to work on the liner for just a second. You need to sew your liners right side together. So you have one piece there and put the other face down on top of it. You are going to sew these similar to the main pouch fabric in the U shape, but you need to leave a gap in the bottom of your liner. So you're going to sew down the side, come over and stop, and then you'll start up again here, sew over and up so that you have a gap in the middle. Okay, so as you can see, I've sewn the sides and the edge, and I have a hole right here in the bottom. You can go ahead and cut the triangle out of each corner to help it lay a little bit flat when you do your turning. Now we need to attach your liner to your main fabric. Remember, right sides together. So the way that we're going to do this is we will leave this right sides out, and we will put it inside the liner because there's the right sides of the liner. So we'll just go ahead and fold this pouch up and put it right inside its liner. So when you look inside here, you have right sides together, this right side with this right side. So you'll shimmy it down in there. This is probably the hardest part of the whole pouch, and it's just a straight line, but you just need to make sure that you pin it this time and get it lined up, and you'll sew all the way around this top edge. Okay, so you're going to sew around that top edge. Be sure your loop is down and the tails are up, and be sure all your pom-poms are tucked inside as you line up all of your edges. Okay, I've got it attached all the way on the top edge, and now this is why we left this opening down here. You can shimmy your pouch out through that hole in the liner. You'll just want to turn it right side out. Once you have it right side out like this, you'll want to go ahead and seal up that hole in the liner. You can just tuck in the seam and sew right along it. You could hand stitch it if you want to hide it, but it will be down inside your pouch, and so I felt good about just running my sewing machine right along it. Magic of video, I've already sewed that, and then we're just going to take that liner and tuck it down into our pouch. Really want to smooth it out, make sure that you get it really pushed in there. You can even use a straight pin to pull out your corners, and you'll probably want to use a straight pin to pull out these corners to make it look nice and crisp. We are getting so close. Aren't you super excited? Just a few finishing touches. We are going to iron this down to make it crisp, just like we did with this pocket top here. See how crisp that one looks, and this one's a little less refined right now, so we want to do that same detailing. Iron it and then top stitch right along that edge, just as you did with the pocket. I went ahead and top stitched all the way around so it looks nice and finished. Looks great for our project. Let's test it out. Here we go. Perfect. Now for the button, I will kind of figure out where I think that's going to loop over the best, maybe a little bit higher, and then I'll just hand stitch that button right on, and then it will be good to go. Okay, heads up, I told you wrong. I realized on this one I sewed the button on at the end, and you can kind of see the stitching. On this original one, I sewed the button on before I did the liner. So whenever you're adding a loop, add the button then, and you won't see the stitching in the back. This is okay too, but you know, adds a little extra personality, I guess. That's all there is to it. Go ahead and start using your new iPad pouch. Enjoy the fun handmade feel as you carry it from place to place. And when people ask you, did you make that? You can say, yeah, I sure did. Love it.